Can you remember the See How They Run?
Yeah, Three Blind Mice.
Oh, it was called that. Is the title Three Blind Mice?
The song is called Three Blind Mice.
So
the movie we saw is not
right.
called that. Three Blind Mice.
So, Three Blind Mice.
No, it's Three Blind Mice. Three blind mice. See how they run. See how they run. They the farmer's wife.
What did they do with the farmer?
Who cut off their tail with a carving knife. Have you ever
God.
seen such a sight in your life as three blind mice?
They're already blind, and now she's cutting off their tails?
They're blind and tailless. Why did children sing that song?
It's terrifying.
Why did they
It probably has
teach
some
us
like
such
deep
demented
meaning
things?
about like Nazis or something that we didn't know about. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Ride Home Podcast. My name is Abby.
Hey guys, it's Caitlin.
We just got out of, by the way, go see a 5 o'clock movie sometime if you can.
Please.
We went immediately after work, booked it to the theater, and getting out of the movies at 7 o'clock with the whole rest of our evening ahead of us.
We're new people.
We were just in the theater seeing See How They Run, which is a whodunnit.
Yes.
And I'm just going to read the synopsis for this one because I don't think we're going to do spoilers for this episode because a whodunit, like, the spoiler would ruin the entire purpose of a whodunit. So,
Right.
So we're going to stay off of the whodunit spoiler part, and I'm going to read the synopsis directly from the internet so that I don't accidentally give anything away while reading it. In 1950s London, plans for a movie version of a smash hit play come to an abrupt halt after a pivotal member of the crew is murdered. When a world-weary inspector and an eager rookie constable take on the case, they find themselves thrown into a puzzling whodunit with the glamorously sordid world of underground theater investigating the mysterious homicide at their own peril. That is quite the explanation.
That's great.
Wow.
They did such a good job at that.
Can we give an Oscar to whoever wrote that?
Yes, for
that
best synopsis
for
yes.
Google? Wow, that was great.
They really just wrapped the whole thing up.
Yeah. So the movie was directed by Tom George, who I looked briefly into his career before we went to the movie. And he's basically just done British TV.
Okay.
So this is kind of
and that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, so this is kind of just his debut, I guess.
Okay.
His biggest release so far, for sure. And one of his only movies. I think
Right.
most of his projects are television. So, as always, coming out of the theater, Caitlin, what are your first thoughts?
Okay, so I thought it was short and sweet.
Oh my God, it was a perfect time.
Yeah, it was a great length.
I think like an hour and 38 minutes.
Yeah, it felt very short and sweet. It was very British.
Yeah.
I felt. But now knowing that the director's done British TV, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that the humor was very good. It was British, but very good humor. And I love Saoirse Ronan. Always. She's so precious.
She is great.
Yeah.
In every way, shape, and form. It's actually really funny because like during the entire movie, every time she was on screen, I kept remembering how we used to have like Saoirse on our short list of like names for like when we have kids. And I'm always like, you know, it is still a great name, but could you imagine if we like two Americans were bopping around with a kid named Saoirse?
Also, Saoirse Muchler, like that's so much
that would have been actual child abuse.
Yeah, I'm so happy that we decided not
that
to have
that name is off the list.
I still love the name Saoirse.
It's a beautiful
but it's just
name.
Not for our child.
We've really shortened down the choices for our names to very basic, like one syllable words. So this is,
which is probably best for Muchler. It's just
honestly
probably best.
But I completely agree with you that she is incredible. And to be honest, I'm a little surprised that she agreed to this role because it's a little...
It felt small for her.
It felt small. She is by far and away the best part of the movie, but it still feels a little not to her caliber as we're used to seeing her.
Right.
But that does not mean that her performance is a lower caliber.
Absolutely.
She brings it just like she brings it in everything else that she does.
Definitely.
And I think one of the highlights of the movie was finding out just how funny she is. The timing of all of her jokes are probably the best timed out of like any of the rest of the cast.
Oh, I think so too.
She was really, really funny.
She was the funniest part of the movie, honestly.
Easily. She plays the eager rookie constable who is helping Sam Rockwell's character. And I don't know if you'll agree with me, but his character, who's a Detective Stoppard, he was one of the most boring, unlikable lead characters I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that is probably my biggest issue with the movie, was that you have this shining star in Saoirse Ronan, and then you have this other actor who is like an incredible actor. Like Sam Rockwell cleans up at like every award ceremony ever.
Yeah, we like him.
So good. But for some reason, there was no arc to his character. There was no depth to his character. He was
just like
he
the
was
drunk,
the same
bumbling guy.
He was the same from like the first scene all the way till like the last 5 minutes, really. And he never had any type of process or development that would bring him to his final 5 minutes. It just was like suddenly he's not a drunk bumbling mess and he's a good guy.
And he's like nice.
You know what I mean?
And that's it.
Yeah. And so I think having a detective lead who was that uninteresting really hindered the rest of the movie because, you know, we have other detective movies where like Daniel Craig in Knives Out or Kenneth Branagh from, what's his series that he's in? The Agatha Christie ones.
Yeah.
But what's his name? What's the detective's name?
Poirot.
Yeah, Poirot.
Yeah.
We're used to seeing a detective that kind of gives you a little bit of something.
Yeah, like they stand out in some way. Like they have like a trademark, or they have like something about them like characteristically that stands out.
Or they're like obscenely smart, like Sherlock Holmes or something like that. And this detective was basically like not that great of a detective, a really shitty person, and his journey to solving the case and to becoming a better person, I guess, wasn't satisfying to watch at all. In a way, I wish that they almost had more of his character be like a Ron Swanson type, where like sure he can be gruff and he can be like rough around the edges, but give him a little bit of comedy, give him a little bit of
and I thought that's what they were trying to do. Like it was giving a little bit Ron Swanson. It was like kind of reminded me of my brother a little bit, but like there wasn't like a redeeming quality. Right. Like that's the thing. It was like, yeah, he's like gruff and like a drunk and like a dry kind of a dude who just kind of like bums around. Yeah. But like there's like nothing about him that was like, oh, but at least he's nice. Right. Or oh, at least he's like doing the right thing. Right. It's like, what is he doing? Like what is he actually ever doing?
Taking a nap and going to the bar.
Yeah.
Even though we were talking about the movie being short and sweet, and I think it was the perfect length, it was almost like they left out a scene or two that would give us a little bit more information. Like there was one scene that you are in his apartment after he's like been drunk, and you see that he makes puzzles, and then they never touch that again. Never. They don't bring it up. They don't tell you why. It's just him sitting in a little wood shop putting puzzles together. And I was just like, is this like a symbol that he's a detective and he puts the puzzle pieces together? Because that's obnoxious.
Or is it like he, again, like he's Ron Swanson and he, like Ron Swanson has
a craftsman
little like woodworking shop? Is it like that's like his hobby? Like I don't know.
I guess they really didn't.
Now that you're saying that though, I kind of feel like that was the case for most of the characters in this movie. Yeah. There were a lot of pieces missing.
Yes.
And I honestly think that's why this movie was so short and sweet, is because they really didn't have a whole lot of character development at all.
No. I think that, so Adrian Brody, who, this is not a spoiler because it's in the trailer, is the murder victim.
Correct.
And he plays probably the most charismatic person after Saoirse Ronan.
Mm-hmm.
And
which, like, where has he been?
Right?
I saw him, I was like, Adrian Brody?
I
Like, it was like a
know.
fever dream. I was like, where's he coming from?
I thought his character was good, and it fit the role really well, and he played it really well, and I think they gave him a little bit of depth. He's kind of like a hotshot Hollywood director that nobody really likes, and he has more of a backstory given to him than the rest of the characters.
Yeah.
I thought that the screenwriter, who is a very obviously gay man who has like a secret partner that he calls his nephew, he had a little bit more backstory.
Right.
Again, it was like a hotshot writer, a hotshot director, a hotshot producer, a hotshot. They were all like, I'm a hotshot. Like,
right.
And then Moaning Myrtle shows up as Agatha Christie.
Moaning Myrtle was Agatha Christie.
I mean, it was okay cast in the sense that they all gave good performances. There wasn't anybody in there that was like, oh, wow, they really phoned it in.
No, that's the thing. Like, actually, all of the acting I thought was really good.
Yeah.
For what the writing was, I think the writing really was lacking, to be honest. It kind of felt like it was like an Agatha Christie movie about an Agatha Christie play trying to become an Agatha Christie movie.
That's exactly what it is.
And it was like, whoa. Like,
there was,
this is too much.
So
Agatha
there was
Christie, whodunit.
Right. So there was actually a part where I sat there in the theater and I was like, hold on a second. It's like a movie. It's like a movie within a movie within a play within a book within a story within a whatever. And it had better potential to utilize that, but it was almost too in your face to enjoy it. So there was this one part where two characters are talking about how hard it is to write a whodunit because every whodunit is always the same. And then at one point, the director, who's played by Adrian Brody, was like, well, you know, tell it in flashbacks. And then the screenwriter was like, you can't do a flashback. That's so cheap. But the scene that they're in is a flashback. And so I think where Saoirse Ronan's character had some really authentic humor that was well-timed and well-scripted and well-acted, there was really gimmicky humor throughout that, like you said, it was an Agatha Christie book inside an Agatha Christie play inside of an Agatha Christie movie.
It was like a Russian doll. An Agatha Christie Russian doll of things.
And when it was too obvious, it was too obvious. And so I struggled a lot with the screenplay of this movie, for sure.
I did too.
I'm a little bit surprised at the ratings
Tomato
that
meter,
we've seen.
Yeah. I am too. I mean, I liked it.
Yeah.
But like,
it was better than Death on the Nile.
Oh, for sure. And what's funny is that, like, immediately in my head before we saw this movie, like, I think it was even yesterday, I was like, it's got to be better than Death on the Nile.
Right.
Right? Like,
with
it's
enough champagne
to fill the Nile.
I really think that this movie had so much potential, especially given the cast that they were able to get. I mean, Adrian Brody, Sam Rockwell, Saoirse Ronan, like, you're working with a high caliber of these are Oscar nominees.
Right.
This isn't just like Gal Gadot on a boat. But for some reason, whether it was in the editing room or the screenplay, something was so missing that putting all of these puzzle pieces together, for lack of a better word, but they didn't fit.
They didn't fit. And there was a part where I was like, wait, are they just trying to make like the British Clue?
Right.
Because it felt, there was a lot of stylistic things about it. I felt like directing wise, even like set wise, that felt very Clue.
Like the 90s Clue?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 90s Clue.
I agree. There was some set design choices that actually I made a note in my phone in the movies because we had hashtag an empty movie theater, which was amazing because we could actually put a couple notes in our phone. But I actually loved the set design. It was very saturated, and colorful and busy, which 90s movies had that look.
Right.
You know, where all of the scenes, the background is, it almost looks like a set, like it looks like a play.
Yeah.
And so you bringing up Clue, that actually, like some of the scenes, like in the mansion of Clue, like especially the screenwriter's apartment, I thought was gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah, I did too. No, I'm not saying it in a bad way.
Yeah.
I'm saying like that was a cool thing that I thought about it. Like it was towards the end where I kind of realized what it reminded me of. But that's exactly what it reminded me of, the set design specifically.
Yeah.
And some of the costumes and just like you said, like the saturation and the colors and some of just the
even like that time period,
hair and makeup and like I don't know, like it just felt very similar to that, which was cool because of course, who doesn't love the movie Clue?
I kind of want to watch Clue again now that
of course,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, why wouldn't we?
I think there were also some really positive notes just about the cinematography in general. I thought that the framing of particularly the interview shots were really cool because they framed whoever the detectives were interviewing right in the center of the frame. And it felt much more like an interrogation than a conversation.
Right.
And it wasn't done in a forceful way. It blended in with the environment, and it created some really beautiful shots throughout. Just unfortunately, like the depth wasn't there for it to justify having that good of a cast. I'm really curious about how they specifically got those three that you mentioned. Like those are three heavy hitters. That must have been like a friend of a friend of a friend
had to
situation,
because this movie was not the substance that those actors are used to.
No, I mean maybe they just wanted to have fun, and
I mean that's
maybe
true.
one person signed on and was like, "Hey, like I'm doing this project, it's fun," you know, and picked up from there.
Right.
I think you'll agree with me though that there is a twist halfway through the movie that, if they just stuck with that tone, the movie would have been so much better.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
It starts gimmicky, and then you get this small twist at like right in the middle, basically, and it kind of makes your we got goosebumps, and it makes your skin crawl, and you're like, oh my god.
The tone shifted immediately.
The tone shifted so fast, and I was like, oh, so this is when it becomes like its own thing, and it's not just a standard whodunit.
Right.
Maybe within like 20 minutes was a regular old.
It was just like, okay, never mind. Like literally, it was just like, okay, never mind. Back to the same thing.
Never mind. We're not doing that. So I think if they had stuck with that tone and really leaned into that and made the ending a little bit more original and different from every other whodunit that we've ever seen, it had the potential to be great.
It really did.
But it wasn't.
It wasn't great. It wasn't great. But I don't think it was horrible.
No, it was not horrible.
I definitely enjoyed it. I think it was a really fun watch. I don't know. It was like we almost got there, and then it was like, oops, but it has to be an hour and a half.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I was like, but this is a short one. And
which,
it was,
unfortunately, the time would have been perfect if they had just utilized it a little bit better. I also think that it's going to be hard for anybody seeing this movie when you find out who the killer is for you to be like, I knew it, or like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so I think that is an issue, because usually when you're watching a whodunit, you like to try to put the pieces together, but they never let you get to know the characters enough for you to make your own conclusions.
Yeah.
And so when you don't even have a single conclusion, you're not surprised by anything, because you're just like, well, I guess it was them.
Yeah, like it could have been. Sure. Like, why not?
Alrighty. I think this movie is a perfectly fine watch on a rainy Saturday night when the kids are in bed and you're just like, hey, like, let's put on this movie and eat some popcorn.
I completely agree.
If you happen to fall asleep during it, that's not a big deal.
I actually almost fell asleep during it, to be honest.
And you even like took a Ritalin. You were ready to go.
I know. It was just
that
like
doesn't bode well for our rating.
Something
for this.
comforting, I guess. Maybe, I don't know.
Unfortunately for me, I am going to give this a small popcorn. I was teetering on a medium just because I loved Saoirse's performance so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give her a large popcorn always.
Of course.
She can have all the popcorn in the world.
Sure. She can have a trough.
Yeah. I'll pop her own bag of popcorn.
Yes.
But overall it's a small for me.
Okay. It is going to be a medium for me.
Okay.
And partially because of Saoirse Ronan, partially because I love the set design and the feel of it so much.
Yeah.
And there were just some bits of humor that I really enjoyed and I thought was really like quick-witted and smart and funny.
Yeah.
So it's a medium for me, but just like a plain old medium, nothing crazy.
It's a simple old medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I probably will never watch this again.
I was just about to say, I don't think we'll ever just put this on a rainy
not even
Saturday
as like
night,
a background
like
movie, to be honest.
No. I would much rather put on Knives Out.
Oh, yeah.
Which, by the way, the sequel to Knives Out is apparently very good.
Oh my God. I can't wait.
So excited for it. So. Can't wait! Put it in the theaters now! Caitlin just pushed the car and I swear it moved. So we will actually be back in the theater this Saturday night. We had a poll on our Instagram for this week's episode. Obviously, See How They Run won. But Pearl is also out. It's the prequel to X, which was one of our favorite horror movies of this year.
Mm-hmm.
So we will be seeing Pearl, and we're going to post just a quick video Instagram review like we did for the Black Phone. Very excited also that it's going to be a trilogy.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they just released the trailer for the third one. I couldn't be more excited about this trilogy. I truly, truly, truly enjoyed X, and I can't wait for Pearl.
It seems like it's going to be a solid little set of movies here. Yeah.
So I'm very excited for that. The Woman King is also getting incredible reviews, so I don't think you need our review to go see it because it's like it's sitting at like a 99% right now on Rotten Tomatoes. So go see that this weekend, or go see Pearl if you're a horror fan way before you buy a ticket to go see How They Run.
You don't have to see that.
Wait for that to stream. If you're like really big into whodunits, I'm sure you'll enjoy it, but just wait for it to be
in your house.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, everybody, that does it for us. I hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks for joining us on the ride home.